Hey everybody, welcome back to Conquest 2.0. And I actually just logged on this morning and saw that the results from the LVO Conquest tournament are in. I think they had 16 players, and it looks like a Nords player won. They were playing on the old 1.5 rules, so the meta that was there and the armies that were being played won't be the same as we're going to be using now in 2.0. But it'll still be cool to see once Bellum puts over on their website the list that won or came in the top few places. And over on Bellum's Facebook page, they were posting some of the pictures, and all the games look really awesome. Some really well painted miniatures, and looks like everybody had a great time. So hopefully that event comes back next year and draws even more and more players, with Conquest being a relatively new game to the competitive scene for FLG. And speaking of FLG, I'm actually affiliated with them. I have a link down in the description of this video if you need any Conquest miniatures. They just got a huge influx of them in. They just ordered from Bellum. They have everything over on their web store, and if you use the link below, it's actually at 15% off of the MSRP price. So that's enough about LVO and 1.5, since now we're living in the 2.0 world. I've had, a good number of subscribers over the past week or so with the new videos that I've been putting out, and I'm sure 2.0 is drawing more interest for more people in the game, which is really awesome, and especially city-states. I'm sure those models help bring in more people in. And I've had a couple of people comment that they want to see videos like I did on the 100 Kingdoms for Dweghom is the one I saw 2 people ask for specifically. So this video is going to be covering Dweghom in 2.0. And full disclosure, I'm not a Dweghom player. I play 100 Kingdoms and Spires, but I have played a fair few number of games into my buddies' Dweghoms, and I played them 2 games in the tournament that we did in January, or just 1 game, but I played a practice game against them as well. So I know kind of what they did before, and then we're going to take a look at the Dweghom Army Builder and see what they can do now in 2.0 with the changes that came about. So I've just pulled up the Army Builder on Bellum's website, which is completely free for anybody new just stumbling upon this video. You can go over to their website and hit rules and click Army Builder, and there's actually a way to view all the factions without actually building a list, and that's what I'm in now. So the first thing we're going to look at for the Dweghom is the characters, and the Ardent Karawa. He before could do his spell. He's a priest with priest 5, and then with the rules changed now, he needs 2 successes to cast any of his prayers. And he had the prayer before, I remember, called Dismay. It's only an 8-inch range, and then you require a number of successes equal to lowest unmodified resolve at a minimum of 2 in the target regiment. So that means even if I have a character in one of my 100k regiments, but they're men-at-arms, those men-at-arms are still only resolve 2, so you just need 2 successes. And that target regiment comes broken. So before broken, you didn't really care about it. It just meant -2 to the charge, which could matter, I guess, but if you're 8 inches away, not really. Now broken really matters. If a unit's broken, it can't heal, it can't benefit from Inspired, it can't count as holding objectives, which is pretty good. So casting the spell on a regiment basically means that regiment needs to take one of its actions to rally itself to get rid of that broken status, or it's not contributing to the game. It can still attack, but it can't inspire attack. And for 80 points, if the Ardent Karawa, all he did was have that Dismay spell and sat in a unit of Thanes or of Hold Warriors and gave out broken to your enemy regiments, I would take him in every game. But he also comes with, I think, the best supremacy ability in the Dweghom. I think before this was what everyone took, and now there are some slightly better ones, or better than they were before ones. I don't think they're better than this one. So this one gives, for the duration of the battle, increase the march distance for all friendly regiments by 1, which really helps because Dweghom are slow at the march of 5. And then during their first march action each round, so it only increases on the first one, but it's always active. And then once per battle, all friendly command stand gets +2 to their attacks until end of the round. So that's just adding 2 more attacks on top of when you clash one round with hopefully multiple units, which is really good. I almost forgot he also has the spell Resolve, which you'll most likely be casting Dismay mostly, but Resolve lets you get rid of a broken status on one of your units. So if you're not maybe close enough, because this is range 12 inches as opposed to 8 for Dismay, to break an enemy unit, you can unbreak one of yours without wasting one of their actions and just use the Ardent Karawas action, which is, good to know that you have it in your back pocket. For this guy, the way I would build him, I would probably take Arcane 1, just to give him that Priest +1, so he's Priest 6. And then, I don't know if I really would spend too many more points into him, because he's there really just to break enemy units and give you that extra inch of movement for his Supremacy ability. Now the Hull Ray, let's get rid of the Ardent Karawa. He is, and was before, very, very good at dueling and targeting enemy characters. Absolutely still build him as this dueling Hold Ray that, now your opponents don't want to refuse duels or they become broken, which is a huge deal. As before, if Hold Ray dueled you, you just refused it and didn't really care about it. So you can pile him up with some relics, give him Flurry to reroll his hits, give him +2 attacks if he's attached to a unit that has 4 stands, give him the Harden 3 special rules, so basically he just won't die, or +1 wound. And then you have some of the good weapons with Cleave 3, Flurry. But I think there's a more interesting way to play the Hold Ray now if you look at his tactical retinue, or his combat retinue. Just tier 1, 10 points, gives the character stand flank, which is going to give the regiment he's in flank, which means they don't contribute a dice roll to the reinforcement roll and they just come in. So this will be on top of each round. You get to pick a light, medium, or heavy, depending on what turn it is, that can come in for free. So in Dweghom, when a lot of stuff is heavy, or things you want to bring on the board are medium, and those reinforcement rolls can really start to hurt you, for 10 points, I think you take this every single time and throw in a unit of Hold Thanes that he's going to be in, and you know that they're going to be on turn 3 with another heavy unit that you have automatically. And in 1.5, in turn 3, heavies come in on 1s and 2s, that's not very likely. And now on turn 3, if playing Dweghom, you can have 2 heavy units automatically coming onto the board without even rolling for it. Instead of making this super dually and fighty Hold Ray, you can make this objective-based Hold Ray by giving him that combat 10-point upgrade to get on the board on turn 3, and then you can give him the tactical mastery of Call the Menomancers. I did my best. That's probably not how you say it. But the character sound for 25 points counts as 2 more stands of the same class for holding an objective. So just the Hold Ray himself will count as 3 stands. Plus, if he's in a unit to Hold Thanes, you're going to have a few stands there. Basically, you park this unit on an objective, and they are not moving. And they're even going to be super, super defensible because you're going to give him tier 1 in tactical, so he can get a banner of Until We Have To. So as long as they're in range of an objective zone, they get Bastion +1, and the Hold Thanes can already get Bastion 1 from one of their officer upgrades. So I believe that puts Hold Thanes, let's take a look at them side by side here. Defense 3, 4 with the shield, 5 with Bastion 1, and then Defense 6 with the Bastion from the banner while holding an objective. I don't think anybody wants to mess with that, and they're Hardened 1. So Defense 6, ignoring 1 Cleave. I think that's just going to be your objective as a Dweghom player. Now we'll take a look at the Tempered Sorcerer. He can pick from one of 3 schools of magic. The Fire School is just about shooting fire out of his hands, I guess. And the more interesting one, I think, is the School of Earth. So target regiment receives +2 defense, but they can't march, charge, reform, combat, reform, or withdrawal. So they basically have to stay in place and get +2 defense. So maybe while you have that super defensive Hold Thing unit with your Hold Ray somewhere, on another objective, your Tempered Sorcerer can be giving some Hold Warriors or another unit Hold Thanes +2 defense. But they also get spells that, maybe if you don't want to stand still, you can give a unit impact attacks on the charge, which is also really good. You're just getting an extra fight phase, basically, out of a unit just from that spell. And finally, we have the Tempered Steel Shaper, another spellcaster who's a Wizard 5, and he gets some pretty good utility spells that basically just let you give +1 Clash to one of your units, -1 defense to an enemy unit, obviously very good, or +1, or harden 1, not +1 defense, harden 1 to a unit of yours. So again, with the Ardent Karawa and the Hold Ray, the Tempered Steel Shaper can sit back and just buff the defense of your units. And his Supremacy ability is hilarious, I think, if you're going for this, basically you can't kill me Dweghom list. Once per battle, you can immediately heal each friendly unit for 6 wounds. And this is only once per battle. I don't think this is the best Supremacy ability. I just think this will be super demoralizing for your opponent when they're trying to kill your defense 6, hold Thanes, and then your other units that have higher harden, higher defense from spells, and then they just get stands back, basically. So that's it for the Dweghom characters. We're just going to take a look at a couple of the units now and see how they change, their profiles changed for 2.0. As you can see right off the bat, each stand, now that you're measuring stands individually instead of those single models, has 5 wounds, when before each Hold Warrior had 1 single wound for a stand to be 4 wounds. So this is good for Dweghom, that you're going to get just that extra durability. They're a little tougher than like my Men-at-Arms, for example. But they still have just the 4 attacks, Class 2, Resolve 2, Defense 2, 3 with the shield. And then they can take the Heart of Stone, Herald of Stone to get the Bastion, to get them up to Defense 4. So for 120 points, this is just a very, very tough unit. That's very standard out there, just slightly tougher than, you know, Men-at-Arms as their counterpart. And then, as you can see, the whole Ballistae, same thing, they have the 5 wounds now as well. The range went down to 18 inches armor piercing, which, you know, you really don't want them that close, so I don't know. Same thing with the crossbowmen and Men-at-Arms. I've been looking at them. I definitely don't want my crossbowmen super far up, even though they have the armor piercing 1, which can get you some good shots. So I'll have to play around with my range unit, and I think it'll be the same for whole Ballistae to see if they stay in the list. The difference between my crossbowmen and these whole Ballistae is these whole Ballistae are 140 points, which is a lot, and my crossbowmen are just 105 points. Another unit that got some changes are the Inferno Automata. I've seen these on the table a few times, and I really, really like them with Fluid Formation. You can do some really weird stuff with them as far as move blocking and messing up your opponent's plans. But now they also gained Impact 2, which is pretty cool, so they can, while they're using their Fluid Formation tricks, they can just get a charge off, say they don't have enough actions to actually make an attack. They can get some damage through onto the enemy. The thing we'll take a look at is the Hellbringer Drake. It's a medium monster, so it's going to come in a little faster than your heavies, and I think for 180 points, this guy is just awesome. He's got Barrage 10, Range 16, and then in combat he's Terrifying 1 with Cleave 1 with impact attacks, and then his shooting attacks even get Armor Piercing 1. I think this guy is an auto-occlude in your Dweghom list. He is good from 16 inches away. You definitely don't want to get charged by him. And he's even got an evasion, excuse me, if people, you know, come at him with a high cleave with 14 wounds. And then he even has, I believe this is new, the overcharge rule, where he can take an action and then get an overcharge marker and spend it during his shooting, or he'll get to shoot 12 times now at Armor Piercing 2. So this can be kind of a gross little gun line if you include him in and maybe match him up with some Fireforge to have a little bit of shorter range, but again have that Armor Piercing 2 and a lot of shots. So that's it for our 2.0 Dweghom overview. It was probably a quick and dirty overview of kind of some builds you can do with Dweghom. I think they're going to be extremely defensive. They were very good in 1.5 and hard to play for new players who just weren't used to the amount of offensive output along with the defense that could be built in there. If you didn't really know that their weakness kind of was their speed and coming onto the board slowly, but now I don't think they're going to come onto the board that slowly, because you get 1 free unit per round, along with some ways that the Hold Ray could be built into your list to auto have his Hold Things come in. So thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. We'll be doing like weekly Conquest content. I think the next one I'll do a City States video. I believe that was requested as well in the comments of my last 100 Kingdoms one. And I'll just be covering the units that are currently released and how you can maybe build a City States army just based off what's out there right now.